Hey, Joel Embiid, was it really worth winning the MVP just to get eliminated in the second round? Max Nation! I'm Munger to the Max coming at you with today's episode of the Sports Room Talk Show. A salute to you. And again, I have to ask, Joel Embiid, was it really worth winning the MVP just to get eliminated in the second round again? The Philadelphia 76ers had the opportunity to go to the conference finals for the first time since 2001, when Allen Iverson was still on the team. And, well, they failed. Their best opportunity was in Game 6 when Jason Tatum was struggling to find a shot, but they couldn't step up, and the Celtics forced a Game 7. And then, holy shit, Jason Tatum absolutely dropped the hammer on the 76ers. He went off for, I believe it was the most points ever in a Game 7. 51 points, surpassing Steph Curry's 50-point game from a couple weeks ago when the Warriors defeated the Sacramento Kings, which I'll get to the Warriors a little later, but I think their dynasty might be on shaky legs. I'm not saying it's over, but I think their dynasty's on shaky legs. But anyway, so let me get this straight. Joel Embiid makes this whole big deal about wanting to win MVP and all that, and then goes out and does that. In fact, let me look it up. I believe his stats were not very good in Game 7. Let me look this up. Let's see. Yeah, Joel Embiid, in 38 minutes, the reigning MVP, only had 15 points. James Harden, the Beard, 41 minutes, 9 points. 9. So your two best players, Embiid and Harden, combined for, let's do 15 plus 9 here, 24 points in a Game 7. The two of them combined for 24 points. That is absolutely pathetic. You two should, Harden and Embiid should be absolutely embarrassed today. If I were Harden and Embiid in the city of Philadelphia, I would just keep myself locked up in the house all day. I would not go out into the city. Seriously. If I were either one of them, James Harden or Joel Embiid, I'm keeping myself locked up in the house. Sending out other people to go grocery shopping or whatever. Because that was absolutely terrible. So let me get this straight. The Philadelphia Eagles get to the Super Bowl. They lost, but they fought to the very end. That was one of the best games I have ever seen. The Philadelphia Phillies, they get to the World Series, push the Houston Astros to 6 games. And now the city's focus shifts to the 76ers, thinking, okay, maybe the 76ers can do it. And they don't even reach the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals. Unbelievable. Anybody who is saying this season was a success for the Philadelphia 76ers, you're loopy. You are absolutely loopy. This season is a total failure for the Philadelphia 76ers on all fronts. That's great that Joel Embiid won MVP. Didn't get you anything. James Harden, once again, folded in a big game. Like, this has basically become who he is. Go back and look at the 2018 Western Conference Finals. Granted, Chris Paul got injured, which has basically become his MO recently in the playoffs. But still, like, James Harden, you had an opportunity to get to the NBA Finals, and you squandered it. I could point to other examples, like the series against the San Antonio Spurs, when James Harden played like crap and the Rockets got absolutely hammered by the Spurs. I don't remember what year that was, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. And as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, I absolutely loved every second of that game. Because personally, I view the Philadelphia 76ers as the Cavaliers' biggest rival. In fact, the Cavaliers seem to have this disdain for everybody in the Atlantic Division except for the Brooklyn Nets and the Toronto Raptors. The Cavaliers and the 76ers, rivalry. Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics, rivalry. Cavaliers and the New York Knicks, a rivalry is developing. It's honestly weird. But I'll tell you why. The reason I view the Cavaliers and 76ers as a rivalry is even though Philly won all 4 games against the Cavaliers in the 2021-2022 season, from my observations, in each game, the margin of victory got smaller and smaller for Philadelphia. But in each of those 4 games, again, this is just my opinion, the intensity and animosity went up and up. And it became clear that the 76ers were kind of going to be that roadblock for the Cavaliers. Because Cleveland, I think, felt like they could be a playoff team. But Philadelphia just kept stepping in the way. Like, when we needed that big win, the 76ers were there to say, halt, you shall not pass. Basically like that. And the Cavaliers and Celtics, I mean, even though we won the season series 3-1, it didn't feel like a 3-1 series win. It felt like, it was when we won game 4, the 4th game of the regular season series, I thought I was watching the playoffs. So, I'm honestly so disappointed that we don't get to see the Cavaliers and Celtics play each other in the playoffs this season. And I blame the New York Knicks for that. That's partially why I feel that we have a rivalry with them. Plus the Knicks won. Yeah, the Knicks went 7-2 against the Cavaliers this season. They took 3 out of the 4 regular season meetings, and then they took 4 out of and then they won our playoff series 4-1, which the fact that the Knicks were able to just completely dominate us on the boards when you've got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley playing together is just ridiculous. Maybe it's time to break the 2 of them up. I'm not sure. For me, the only guys who should be coming back for the Cavaliers next season are Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Evan Mobley, and Lamar Stevens. I'm on the fence about Jared Allen. But we've seen in the past, in the modern NBA, beginning in 2009, that when you have a superstar, if you surround them with shooters, it's going to work out well for you. Look at what happened with the 2009 Orlando Magic, who beat the Cleveland Cavaliers en route to facing the Lakers in the 2009 NBA Finals. They surrounded Dwight Howard with shooters like Hedo Turkoglu, Rashard Lewis, Mikhail Petrus, Courtney Lee. And again, the Magic ended up getting to the NBA Finals. The 2012 and 2013 Miami Heat, yes, they had Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. And that they were the biggest reason why the Heat went back-to-back. But think about it. Miami also had Hall of Famer Ray Allen, Mario Chalmers, who has a knack for making big shots. Go back and watch the game between Kansas and Memphis in the 2008 March Madness National Championship game. Shane Battier, Mike Miller. So, again, shooters. The Golden State Warriors from 2015 to 2018. There was this whole stigma that jump shooting teams can't win the championships. But then the Splash Brothers came along. Granted, I don't think the Warriors would have won the 2015 championship if Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were both healthy, because we saw what happened in 2016. Now, I acknowledge that Draymond Green being suspended for Game 5 did help the Cavaliers in their comeback efforts, but by the same token, the Warriors could have made adjustments in Game 6 and Game 7 to slow down LeBron and Kyrie, because Draymond was back for those 2 games, and they didn't. I will acknowledge that Andre Iguodala, who was the LeBron stopper in those 2, or supposedly the LeBron stopper, I should say, in that series, he did experience some back pain, so maybe the Cavs caught a break there. But you can't change the past. And then what happened? The Warriors said, "Oh shit, we can't beat LeBron. Oh, I know. How about we go recruit the guy who we just came back from down 3-1 to defeat, Kevin freaking Durant." That's the only reason Kevin Durant has championship rings, is because he linked up with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, because they knew they couldn't beat LeBron James without him. But, yeah. So that's my little tangent, but I want to get back to the 76ers, because that's where this whole thing started from. Yeah, this season is a total failure for them on all fronts. Milwaukee gets knocked out in the first round by the Miami Heat. So you have a clear path to the Eastern Conference Finals. Granted, I know Boston is no pushover. They were just in the finals last year. I get it. But you get 2 huge performances from James Harden. 3 basically, because you had Game 1, Game 4, and Game 5. So you get those 3 huge performances from James Harden, and it looks like you're in a position to beat the Celtics, and then you just go, blah, like that, basically. And you failed to capitalize on Jason Tatum having a bad performance in Game 6, and then, like I said earlier, Jason Tatum absolutely dropped the hammer on you in Game 7. I was so excited going into Game 7, and it was a fantastic game for about 2.5 quarters. And then Boston said, yeah, we're just going to beat the absolute shit out of you. So, yeah, that kind of happened. But, interestingly, now for the conference finals, we're getting a rematch of the bubble. Because in the West, it's the Los Angeles Lakers, who took out the defending champion Golden State Warriors, taking on the Denver Nuggets, who took out the Phoenix Suns. And then in the Eastern Conference, you've got the Boston Celtics taking on the Miami Heat. This feels like we're on a collision course for Celtics-Lakers to see who is going to get Banner 18, which, if we do get Celtics-Lakers, I would not be opposed to that. I watched that Celtics-Lakers ESPN documentary, and honestly, I was a little bit disappointed by that. I was hoping that it would go into 2008 when these 3 linked up. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and then they took on the Lakers in 2008, and then 2 years later in 2010, we got Celtics Lakers again. I think the documentary is called like Celtics Lakers Best of Enemies or something like that. So it was a 3-part series. I thought, like I said, I thought I was going to go into that, but it didn't. But yeah, it feels like we're on a collision course for Celtics Lakers. LeBron James versus Jason Tatum. Yeah, I'm all up in here for that. As for the Stanley Cup, I have no idea. All I do know is that a Canadian team isn't winning the Stanley Cup this year. It's either going to be Seattle, Dallas, Vegas, Carolina, or Florida. We're going to know for sure what the Western Conference Final is after tonight because the Seattle Kraken are taking on the Dallas Stars in Game 7 tonight. Which, speaking of the Seattle Kraken, knock, knock, NBA, are you listening? Did you see what happened in Game 6? The city of Seattle freaking loves the Kraken. You need to bring back the Seattle Supersonics now. This year. And now, Adam Silver, you need to, somehow... I know, it can't happen at the snap of a finger. I get it. Okay. I get it. It can't happen overnight. But, NBA, did you not see Did you take notice of what happened in Game 6? Kraken fans packed Climate Pledge Arena, and they were making a ton of noise. I watched basically that entire game, and all I could think about was the Seattle Supersonics. The Supersonics need to come back. No offense to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but this team should still be in Seattle right now. But, Howard Schultz sold the team to an Oklahoma City-based group, and the rest of the story. So I blame Howard Schultz for why the Supersonics aren't around. But, yeah, Seattle needs to get the Supersonics back. It's as simple as that. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle gets an NBA team if Vegas is right behind them. T-Mobile Arena seems like it would be perfect for an NBA team. But we'll see. But I want to switch over to the Golden State Warriors now. Because, they got eliminated by the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 6, which that was a total blowout. And now, the question is circulating. Is the dynasty over? I was not one of the people that was saying the dynasty is over when the Raptors beat the Warriors in 2019. Because, think about it. Kevin Durant was hurt. Klay Thompson was not fully healthy. If both of them were fully healthy and available for the Warriors in 2019, Toronto would not have a championship banner hanging from the rafters of Scotiabank Arena. Even with the heroics of Kawhi Leonard, he would not have beaten Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. You know it, I know it. So, that's not to say that the Raptors championship in 2019 needs an asterisk or anything like that, because it doesn't. But that is a little bit of a caveat and a drawback, if you will, on Toronto's championship. However you want to look at it. But the fact of the matter is this. After 2019, the Warriors were right back in the finals just a couple of years later in 2022. And they beat the Celtics in 6 games to win what? Like their 4th or 5th championship in the past since 2015? Let's see. 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022. Okay, so it was their 4th championship in that period of time. Yeah, I would say that's a dynasty. But Will I say that the Warriors dynasty is better than the San Antonio Spurs dynasty when they had Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, that group? No. Am I going to say the Warriors dynasty is better than the Chicago Bulls dynasty when they had Jordan, Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, that whole group? No. Would I even say the Warriors dynasty is better than the Lakers dynasty when they had Shaq and Kobe, and you could go back before that to when they had Magic in that group? No. I would probably, if I had to rank the dynasties, I would say Chicago is number 1, Lakers are number 2, Spurs are number 3, and the Warriors are number 4. Maybe I'm missing another team's dynasty. If I am, put it down in the comments. Yeah, if the Warriors do want to keep their dynasty alive, they gotta make a decision about what to do with Jordan Poole, because I'm not sure what they're gonna do. Like, you gave him the Warriors gave him this huge contract extension, and I would say he has not rewarded them with that contract extension. Granted, that's partially because Draymond Green just sucker punched him during the preseason, and normally I would say that type of video doesn't get leaked, but maybe somebody within the organization wanted to set some things off. I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just stating something. Like, maybe somebody in the organization wanted to create an imbalance, or you never know. But somehow, some way, that video of Draymond punching Jordan Poole got leaked. Everybody saw it. And the Warriors just never looked the same. They had a terrible road record. Granted, one of those road wins was here in Cleveland when they were sitting Steph, Clay, Draymond. I think Andrew Wiggins was sitting. And somehow the Cavaliers lost. I don't get how. That was absolutely terrible. I had my buddies over for that game, mostly because I thought Steph, Clay, and Draymond were going to play, even though it was on the second night of a back-to-back after playing a finals rematch in Boston. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great game. Steph, Clay, Draymond versus Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. And it just wasn't. So, yeah, the Warriors still have our number. I don't get it. I really don't. But, yeah, something is off with the Golden State Warriors. I don't know what it is. What I do know, though, is that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, and I don't know. No, I shouldn't say that it's not close, because Reggie Miller, Ray Allen are both still in the mix. But Steph Curry owns the record for the most three-pointers made in NBA history. But I want to finish up with this. So, Giannis got knocked out. Steph is eliminated. LeBron, you could make an argument the 2020 championship doesn't count. Basically, what I'm trying to say right now is, oh yeah, Kevin Durant is eliminated. Kawhi Leonard can't stay healthy. Maybe he should legitimately retire at this point. But right now, the title of best player in the world in the NBA is vacant. I don't think anybody has really separated from themselves to say, yes, that player is definitively the best player in the NBA right now. I don't think anybody is. Like, a bunch of players can make claims to it, but nobody is definitively. Like Kevin Durant, Giannis, Kawhi. No, not Kawhi, actually. Kevin Durant, Giannis, LeBron, Steph, Jokic. They could all make arguments, but I would say nobody has definitively separated themselves. I get it. LeBron passed Kareem, and he's now the all-time leading scorer. So that further enhances his GOAT argument. But for me, no, he's never going to pass Michael Jordan. And that's because when you think of Jordan, you think of the Chicago Bulls. You can't definitively think of one team when you think of LeBron. So that's why Jordan is the GOAT for me. Granted, I didn't consider Tom Brady to be the GOAT until he got away from the New England Patriots. But that's because, the Patriots were caught up in, Spygate, Deflategate, all these cheating scandals. I don't consider all 6 of their Super Bowl championships to be legit. I think some of them are frauds. So, for me, I don't put the New England Patriots in the 6th Super Bowl championship class with the Pittsburgh Steelers. For me, personally, I know what the stat book says. I get it. But for me, personally, the only team that has 6 Super Bowl championships is the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's just my view. But getting back to the whole best player in the world thing, like I said, Giannis has a claim to it. Kevin Durant has a claim to it. I would say Jason Tatum has a claim to it. LeBron James has a claim to it. Nikola Jokic has a claim to it. There's a few other guys who you could make an argument for. Certainly not John Morant. I'm not touching that whole thing, but yeah, I would say the Memphis Grizzlies are becoming the most hated team in the NBA. But that point aside, if LeBron wins the championship this year, I think he will reclaim the title of best player in the world. But right now, it's vacant. Maybe Joel Embiid could have claimed it if he won the championship this year, since he won league MVP. But nope, he shit the bed. Even if the 76ers had won it, I wouldn't have given the title to James Harden. He's fallen flat on his ass too many times. Or no, I'm sorry, fallen flat on his face too many times. That's how the expression goes. If Jason Tatum wins the championship and Finals MVP, maybe. Giannis, if he had won the championship this year, yes, he would have for sure won. Regain that title, because that would mean he has 2 championships, probably 2 Finals MVPs. Granted, I don't think Giannis would have won Finals MVP in 2021 if he hadn't had that 50-point game in Game 6. To me, Finals MVP in 2021 would have gone to Chris Middleton, which I know this isn't realistic, but oh my God. Could you imagine if somehow, someway, Chris Middleton found his way to Cleveland and put on a Cavaliers jersey? That would be an unbelievable trio with Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Middleton. And that's not to dismiss Evan Mobley, but oh my God, I would love that trio so much. But it's just not going to happen. The other free agent I would love for the Cavaliers to sign, that's also not realistic, Fred VanVleet. Could you imagine if VanVleet was the 6th man? Garland and Mitchell, one of them was always staying on the court when the other subbed off. So could you imagine if Garland were to sub out, VanVleet comes in, a VanVleet Donovan Mitchell backcourt, or what about when Donovan Mitchell subs out? Then you've got a backcourt of Darius Garland and Fred VanVleet. Sorry, my Xbox controller just disconnected for a second. That would be amazing. But both of those are unrealistic. So I would love it if the Cavaliers could go out and sign somebody like Harrison Barnes. Maybe Dante DiVincenzo convince him to leave the Warriors. Go out, sign Gary Trent Jr. from the Toronto Raptors. Grant Williams, he's a restricted free agent with the Boston Celtics, but I'd love to have him maybe. Jalen McDaniels, he'd be a good pickup. The Cavaliers just, to go back to what I was saying earlier, the Cavaliers just don't have enough shooting and playmaking. Isaac Okoro was absolutely terrible as the starting small forward. On the other side of this poster right here, yeah, this one, where it says, "Hey Cavaliers, can you please silence the Thunder?" On the other side it says, "Hey Isaac Okoro, can you please score double digits?" Because my buddies and I have this inside joke where if Isaac Okoro scores double digits, we set off the Okoro alarm. Because it's like a rarity. You're the starting small forward. You're supposed to be able to get like at least 15 points. Something like that. We were lucky if Okoro scored 10. So, like, that's just, no. Chetty Osman couldn't do anything off of the bench. Dean Wade, who got the minutes that Kevin Love was getting earlier in the season. That's why Kevin Love is no longer on the roster. Dean Wade didn't do anything. Yeah. And, yeah. It's like J.B. Bickerstaff didn't trust the bench. Like, during the Knicks series, how about Lamar Stevens getting some minutes? He could have played defense on Jalen Brunson and possibly made his life difficult. Maybe we could have won 2 or 3 more games in the series. I don't know. But, yeah. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Sports Room Talk Show and NBA Vlogs. Until next time, I'm Unger to the Max, signing off with a salute to you. But before we go, if you haven't done so already, make sure you punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter, hit the like button with the Judas effect, courtesy of Chris Jericho, and deliver a spear to the notification bell, courtesy of the almighty Bobby Lashley. Or if you don't want to hit it with a spear, then just hit a curb stomp on the notification bell, thanks to Seth freaking Rollins. But either way, hit the notification bell, but most importantly, subscribe.